We will start part two of our webinar today with Truman Honorella sharing information about EdMaps projects and EdMaps data. Go ahead, Truman.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty. I don't know how many of you out there I've met or not met, but my name is Truman Inarella. I'm the mapping and data specialist for the Noxious Suites program here at CDA. And I'll be helping walk you all through the EdMaps component of your grants. So all grant-supported species treatments and surveying efforts are required to be documented via EdMaps. So some of this might be a little bit new, and there's a few steps to it, but I promise it's not too scary, and it's well documented. So I'm here to walk you all through that. Let me go ahead and share screen here. Share this window. Okay. Can I get a quick confirmation that y'all can see this?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing I do want to point you all to is this document that we created. So this is essentially what I'm going to be walking through. But in your POGG ones that have already been sent out to you or are about to be sent out to you, there'll be a link to this document. We can also put it on the website, but basically it's a guide of using EdMaps projects. And so, oh, maybe one of y'all can throw it in the chat as well. That'd be helpful. Um, oh, is there a chat? Maybe not. Anyway, so this document basically shows you how to create an EdMaps project, add your records into it, and how we will manage those. So I'm going to be walking through this with you all in real time. So starting off, we're going to create an EdMaps project. So how we do that is we go to the EdMaps website. So you can just start on the regular EdMaps website. Make sure you're logged in. And then you're going to want to go to My EdMaps right here. It's thinking. Oh no. Wouldn't this be a perfect time for the EdMaps website to go down? I apologize, y'all. This is taking a moment to load. New tab because that one is not seeming to work. And now none of them are working. Excellent. I wonder if there's anything I can show in the meantime, Patty.
Yeah, do you think it would make sense for Emily to go next? Would that be okay if this,
Oh, oh,
oh, is it
okay.
working? Oh, there it
Okay.
goes.
Maybe
Okay,
maybe
great.
it just loaded. Okay.
Perfect.
Apologies about that. I can't control the weather though. Okay. So once you're into this My Maps page, we're gonna create a project together. So on the left side here, there'll be a drop down called Projects, and you're gonna want to click on Create Project. So this will where you'll make your project. And so for this, we are asking you to give your project name. We're asking you to follow a pretty specific nomenclature. And that is just the name of your county or your organization, followed by 2026 CDA grant. So like Denver County, that's where I live, for example, 2026 CDA grant, something informative like that. In the description, again, you can just add a short description on your project. So a lot of key buzzwords like 2026 CDA Noxious Weed Fund reporting for X county, something simple like that. For project URL, you can leave this alone right now. We'll show you how to get your specific project ID number later on. For is project public, you're going to want to set this to off. If your project is public and this is on, then anyone on the internet that goes to EdMaps can join your project and contribute to it, which we don't really want. For administrators, so this is where you'll put yourself. So I'll put down me. And then we're also asking you to put your grant manager in as an administrator as well. So say your grant manager is Emily McGrath. We're going to add her as a grant manager or as an admin to our project. For location, usually it's easiest to go broad here and you can just say United States dash Colorado. I think you can enter individual counties if you want to do that, but we can keep it broad and just go in Colorado. And then the subjects, this is maybe the most important step, but this subjects is basically asking you what species you're going to be reporting to this project. This project won't accept any species that's outside of the species you select here. So whatever treatments you're doing, whatever you're surveying for, make sure that you add it to this subject section. So for this demonstration, let's add some Russian olive here and maybe some purple loose strife. So once you have this, you'll just click add and it will create a project for you. I'm not going to do this because I've already created a test project. But yeah, it will create one for you. And I'll show you what that looks like now. So once you have this created, you're going to go back over here to your projects and you can click on dashboard, which takes you to my projects. And by default, it sends you to this EdMaps website as your current project. And so what you have to do is go to this drop down over here, and then you'll see the names of all of the projects that you have associated with your account. And so you'll see the one that you just created, hopefully. And so for me, that is the CDA Noxious Weed Fund project test. So let's select that one. Here's where you'll see all of your records once you move them into here. I don't have any here, in here right now, but you can also manage your project, change some of those parameters. So if you click on Manage Project, you can change anything in here that we just created with the project. So you can always add new species that you want to report in here. And then the other important part here is to look for Manage Users. So if you want to add, if you have like a field technician or someone else who's going to be collecting data for you, you can add them as a user or an administrator, probably just a user though. You can add them as a user and then they'll be able to upload EdMaps records to this project as well. Okay, and so that's how you create the project. Um, And then the last thing I'll mention here is your project code, which you'll be using a little bit later. Emily McGrath will show you, but your project code is up here in your URL. It's just those last numbers at the end of the URL here. So mine is 1744. So now I want to show you all how to get records into your project. So there's three main ways that we like to get records into projects from EdMaps, and they vary in terms of how easy they are, how many records you want to do at a time, accessibility, things like that. So I'll start off with the most straightforward one, and that is just if you were to add a record to EdMaps normally. So again, this is just the EdMaps website. And if you were to click on report sightings here, click on plants in Colorado. So this is where if you want to just report one at a time, you can report a species. So if we found a Russian olive that we treated through the Noxious Weed Fund, this is where we can put that in here. I'm not going to go through this whole form with you all, but a lot of these boxes are self-explanatory, and you can draw your polygon or your points. So I live in Denver. So here's a nice big block of Russian olive here. Don't worry, I'm not going to actually submit this. I'll do these lines here. And then you would just click Submit Report. There's nothing to do with projects just yet here. You can just go ahead and submit your EdMaps reports. And so what that does, it'll send an email to us on the CDA team, and we will verify your records. And so once your records are into EdMaps and verified, then you're able to move them into a project. And so I'll show you how to do that now. So again, if you go to projects and then dashboard, and you go under my records here. So again, this will take you to EdMap's website, which is where we just submitted that Russian olive record. So if you click on my records under the EdMap's website, then I'll have a bunch in here, but here is all of your records that show up that you submitted to EdMaps. And then you can select the one for Russian olive and then click this green button that says Move Records. And then we can move it into that CDA Noxious Weed Fund test project. Success, hooray. So now when we go back into our test project, we'll see that Russian olive record right there. So that is the most, I'd say, straightforward way of getting the record into the project. All that to say, it's fairly easy to just move records back and forth between projects. So the key step here is actually just creating the observation record, getting it into EdMaps, and then we can help you move them back and forth between projects. So you can report normally, or you can report through the EdMaps app on your phone or a tablet. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But I want to stay on the computer for just another second because there's a second option for bulk uploading. And so, I don't know. There we go. The screen share thing is blocking my tabs. I can't switch tabs. Uh, there we go. Okay, so in EdMaps, there is an option for bulk data uploading. And so this is another way to get all of your records. If you have a lot of records, this is an easy way to get them into EdMaps, A, and then B, you can also select which project you want them to go into, which is super handy. So in this EdMaps bulk data uploader, it's going to want a shapefile, Esri geodatabase. You can do an Excel sheet. You can do so it's like a spreadsheet, or you can do something like a KMZ or a KML if you're using something like Map It Fast. It kind of depends on how you're documenting these observations. Sometimes this bulk data upload, it goes smooth, but other times it has a hard time reading through your data. So for example, like if you use like shorthand and have that as your official species name, then that might cause some hiccups. Um, so I think best practice is to have your records have at least like a location, who reported it, a date, and then also I think the main field that EdMaps needs for bulk data upload is species name, either common or scientific. So let's say you have a giant spreadsheet of 200 observations that you want to upload. That's great. You can do that here. Let's give that a name. So again, you're going to just want to make this something informative. So Denver County 2026 Noxious Weed Fund reporting, something like that. You'll select your file here that you want to upload. So for this example, I found a nice shape file of the tennis courts in Colorado. These are obviously not noxious weeds. And then you'll click this upload button. So once you do this, there's going to be a big long checklist with 15 steps on it that says like, is your data in the proper format? Do you have all of the necessary fields? What other processing do you want to happen on the EdMap side of things? And so make sure you meet all of those requirements as you're going through this. And if you want help with this, I've gone through this checklist and this bulk data uploading a couple times. So I'm happy to help you walk through it and even help like restructure your data if you need to. So at the end of your bulk upload, though, this is the important part. There will be on this question 14, it says, what project does this data belong to? So if you want to bulk upload all of your records into your project, you can do that here. So you can upload it to just regular EdMaps, or you can do it into your Noxious Weed Fund project, just like that. And then click save and continue and upload. The other thing I'll say about this bulk uploading, it's not as instant as just submitting regular EdMaps records because someone on the EdMap side of things has to go through your bulk data, make sure it's formatted correctly, and then it goes to us to verify. So there's a couple extra steps. So this can take a little bit longer, but it's a nice way to get bulk data into the system. Okay. And then the last thing I will demo here is how to get EdMaps records straight from the application, so like on a phone, straight into your project. So I'm gonna share screen on the phone here. Hopefully this works. It did work last time. Oh, amazing. Okay. So if you are on mobile, so if you're on your phone or a tablet, EdMaps does have two separate apps that you can use. I will say for this project functionality, this only works in EdMaps Pro. So if you look at the bottom right of my screen here, the one with the green grass, the greener icon, EdMaps Pro, this has project functionality, whereas the regular EdMaps application does not. So let's go ahead and open up the EdMaps Pro app. Uh, Let me dox myself real quick. This is where I live. Um, so if you are to create a record in EdMaps Pro, this is nice because it has your location, so it can drop a point like wherever you are. So if you hit this plus in the bottom right and just say use my location, then it'll come up with a way to report your record. And what you have to do here is you have to select the species. So remember earlier when we selected species that we wanted to associated with our project, this will have to be a corresponding species from that list. So we picked Russian olive as one of our species, Russian olive. So if we're reporting a Russian olive plant, then what's nice about this is the project will recognize and auto-populate. So if you see this box below the date and time, this is actually the project that you are intending to upload this to. So you can switch which project you want it on. But at Maps Pro, it recognized that Russian olive is associated with our project, and so it detected that and put our Noxious Weed Fund project as the project it's going to. So this is similar to the website, but this is where you would fill out your report. So take a photo, please. Make sure your location is correct, and then some other observation data as well, like how much time you spent, what the plant density looks like, et cetera, et cetera. And once you do that, you can click save. We're going to continue without a photo because this plant is not real. Once you do that, you're not quite done yet because you still have to push the upload. So on the left part of the EdMaps Pro app, you open up the menu, and then there'll be something called Upload Queue here at the bottom. Click on that. Here's that Russian olive that I just created, and you go to the top right, and you can say Upload All, or you can select which ones you want to upload. And again, once you do that, once you do the upload, then it'll go to the CDA team for us to verify, and then it will show up in your project. And then last thing I'll mention again is even if you want to use the Nmaps Pro app on your phone and you submit it just through that, you don't submit it through a project, that's totally fine. Again, it's pretty simple to move records between projects and not projects. So just getting them onto the Edmaps website or onto the Edmaps database is the key step there. All right, let me check my notes, but I think that's most of what I have. Um, like I said, I've been through this process a couple times with the bulk uploading, the regular uploading, data formatting. It's my job to help out with like GIS data and stuff. So if you have any sort of questions about data formats, how to upload things, please reach out to me. And then yeah, Emily McGrath is going to take us through how your project reports are going to feed into the state dashboard.
And real quick, Truman, before Emily gets started, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A. I think why don't you go ahead and answer those now, and then we'll jump into Emily.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I see I haven't been able to upload my observations for the past week. Not that I know of, Alex. We still have gotten a few emails. Excuse me, an email every time someone submits a Maps record. I've gotten a few even just today about records coming in. But if you're still having troubles, I'd be happy to help you troubleshoot. And then can you upload feature layers too? Uh, so I'm not sure exactly what you're asking here, but I can take a stab at it. So like a feature layer, if you're talking about something in like ArcGIS Pro or some sort of mapping program, if you have that in a shapefile or a geodatabase, which are usually what feature layers are found in, then yes, you can upload that as a bulk upload into Edmaps file geodatabase. Yep, that's perfect. That's one of the files that they are looking for, so that would work.
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions about Edmaps and Edmaps projects?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Truman and Emily McGrath. Go on. Go ahead.
Are you able to see my share? Okay, amazing. This is really exciting. So I think it was like 3 years ago or something now, but Patty and I saw Utah's state dashboard, and I wish I was exaggerating, but I feel like I've been like waiting for us to get one for 3 or 4 years. Um, so here she is. So basically, all of the data that we put in is going to show up on this dashboard. I'm going to walk you through some of the features. Right now, most of the projects in there are going to be pulled from our federal dashboard because WWCC has a dashboard that's specifically for federal funding in the Western states, and it is linked with ours. So we'll enter our federal projects into that dashboard and they'll pull into our state dashboard. And then we're going to have you grantees entering in all of our projects that are funded with Noxious Weed Fund dollars. Um, First things first, we've got our start here, view the help guide. All these boxes are adjustable, so sometimes if stuff looks a little bit squished, you can adjust. And then this will open up a guide that basically will walk you through how to use the dashboard. And I'm going to show you guys some stuff now, but if you ever in the future kind of need some guidance, this is a great place to start. Basically, the purpose of this dashboard is going to be to help quantify and I don't know, kind of tell the story of the work that we're doing in Colorado. So it's going to include all of our projects that are funded with Noxious Weed Fund dollars, as well as federally funded noxious weed related work in the state of Colorado. For us, it's going to be a reporting tool. So we're asking for generally the same type of information, and I'll kind of walk you through kind of what entry into this dashboard looks like and what specifically we're looking for. Um, but rather than having it included in, a table or in your final report, you're going to put it right into the dashboard, and then everybody will be able to kind of see it. So I'm trying to think of where I want to start here. Let's see. I guess we can just kind of go through the different boxes. Right now, it doesn't look like much until you zoom in. But basically, you can filter by a lot of different fields. So you can select a county and it will bring you into that county. Um, like so. Right now it looks a little bit chaotic because it's pulling basically all EdMaps records. We haven't set it up yet to pull only the project related ones. And that's one of the reasons that setting up the project and having your 2026 project data associated with your project is so important. Um, so we've got county. You can select by project year. Right now, we've got basically, but the year is going to be the year that we got the funding. Or in your case, it'll be the year that you got the funding. So it'll be those 2026 will be the year. You can also filter by the weed list. So if you're interested in specifically list A projects or list B or list C, you can make those selections. Kind of a little reset button is in the corner here. So basically right now, like I'm queued in and it's only Broomfield, and you'll see that there is no project data available because we don't have any projects right now that occurred in Broomfield. So I'm going to go ahead and do that little reset, and that'll bring us back to having all of the data kind of available and ready to be queried however we're wanting to do that. Over on the left side, we've got our project lists. So you can see all of the different projects that we have entered in. So again, these ones are going to be mostly those federal projects that are being pulled in from the federal dashboard, as well as kind of some test projects, just to kind of and I'll preview the functionality of the dashboard here. So over on this side, you can scroll through, you can see all these projects. We are having a little bit of an issue with some of these records being duplicated. So that is something we're still kind of in the process of ironing the kinks out. And so you'll see, like, for example, when we look down here at like the chemical acres treated, that number is really inflated just because we've got duplicates of a lot of these records. So basically, these different boxes, right now they're pulling from all of the data that is in the dashboard. But as you use those queries, they'll adjust. So for example, I am going to look and I want to see my 2023 projects. And then over on this side, basically now only the 2023 projects are going to be in my project list. So specifically, these are ones that I had put in. It was an annual support grant, so it's going to have the crew work and then any grantees that got that SBF funding in 2024. When you zoom in, we're able to see our polygons. So let's see if we can get a good view here. Okay, so here, for example, we've got a couple of different layers. And if I click on, say, this polygon right here, it'll show that basically at this site, two different projects included that polygon. Number one is going to be my field crew. And then we scroll through and we're also able to see that OSMP utilized SPF funds in order to do those treatments. Kind of cool stuff in our project box. This will all be input through our form that I'll show you in a second, but it'll have that total award amount, any partners that were involved. So in this case, the only contributing partner was City of Boulder OSMP. And that's another thing that we enter through the form is any match that you have. We all have that one-to-one match. Um, but I think the cool thing about this dashboard and kind of the functionality of it is that you will be able to see a pie chart of where that match is coming from. So whether it is from, the local municipality or landowners, volunteer groups you work with, whatever that looks like, will be able to kind of be displayed in this. As far as our project totals here. You have your total acre, and then based on where it like kind of lays on the map, we kind of see the breakdown here. So we've got, I don't, that those percentages are not adding up. So I think that formula might need to be adjusted. There's an opportunity to add photos. I did this one, so I had pulled from the final report that was submitted, but definitely during the course of the season, kind of going out of your way to get those action photos, candid shots of people doing work, any volunteer events, that sort of thing are really nice to highlight in this capacity. Additionally, you can add a story map if you would like to, or a project report, basically anything else that you would like to share about the project. Kind of as we make our way across here, I'm going to go ahead and reset here. All of these boxes, I lost my box for a second there. Basically, they can be resized however you would like them to be resized. And then to expand these boxes, all of them in that top right corner have this little expand button. So this, for example, this box is pulling from EdMaps. And right now it's not super useful because it's pulling basically from all of the EdMaps points for the entire state of Colorado that are our list A, B, and C. But once we have it linked to the projects, you'll be able to see with the specific project, kind of how, I guess, which weeds were treated more. And then this one has the ability to toggle on and off your list A, B, and C species. And then to close it, you're just going to go ahead and hit that little button. We got our filter by list, so same thing. These will allow you to kind of focus in on your specific interest. So if you wanted to see all the list A projects, list B, list C, those you can just kind of toggle on and off. So the defaults that all of them are on, and then you just click the bars and it makes those adjustments and it'll show you specifically projects that include those species. Finally down here, again, this one is going to be pulling from that EdMaps data as well. But we've got everything from EdMaps is going to be coded, color coded here. So our positive observations are going to be the really bright green. Treated is going to be a little bit darker green, and then our eradicated and negative records are going to be much darker. So the negative records are black, and the eradicated are very dark green. Down here on this bottom box in the left corner, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse there, but basically that is going to show based on the amount of match that is input into the dashboard, that'll show us the match ratio. So for every, in this example, for every $1 of noxious weed fund or federal funding, the appropriate or the corresponding match is going to be $58.07. I do think we are kind of tweaking the math on that. So if you feel like the numbers are off when you put in your examples, we're still kind of working on that one. Let's see here. I think we hit most of the filters. As far as filters, we got county, year, weed list. If you open up this box, this kind of just has a little overview of kind of the purpose of the dashboard. So if you ever, share it with somebody and they're like, what is this for? Kind of has that little box there. Um, Again, we've got that link to the dashboard. And then if you scroll down, there's a few more filters down here. So you can filter by either state or federal funding. You can filter by treatment type. So we've got chemical, biocontrol, and mechanical. And again, kind of what we see as far as those on our bar charts is just kind of based on the kind of some fake project data and just the federal ones that are being pulled in. So it'll be definitely interesting to see once we make it through this first season with our dashboard to kind of see how that all comes together. I think I think I'm going to take us into the form. I kind of want to poke and see if there are any questions so far. Maybe. Sure. Oh, okay. So basically, this is like the public facing side that we can share. When you do your reporting, you're going to enter it in through a form. Well, we can send you the direct link, but it also is located in this top right corner. And basically, it'll take you to this landing page. If you already have, if you've already started your record, you'll be able to look it up. You're assigned a unique ID to be able to go in and edit, and you can add things to it. So it's not kind of like a one and done situation. Like it's like a living database that you can add to and adjust as needed. When we're going to make a new project, the code for the 2026 grants is going to be 2026-1. And I'm going to say, let's do this. And then from there, as I said, you're going to get that project code. So that is going to be a distinct code. You're emailed the code when you submit the form. I also think it's good practice to like copy it just in case something happens there. And I believe also that the weeds email is copied on your project code in your submission email. And then from there, kind of just going through little drop down boxes here. Funded by right now, the only option is going to be that noxious weed fund management. So pretty straightforward there. Project year, you'll go ahead and select 2026 and then go ahead, put in your contact information. So your name and email, and that will be available on the dashboard as well for people who are looking for more information about the specific projects. As far as these boxes, total award amount, that's going to be the award amount in your notification letter, your project name, and then your organization. Pretty straightforward stuff there. This is where it starts to get good. So in the dashboard, basically, we have the EdMaps data coming in through EdMaps. And then for each project, we are going to have basically like the footprint of the work. I don't know if I don't know if I really did a good job at showing those the first time around. So we've got the green points are ed maps, and then we've got the blue polygons is kind of like the footprint that you're scouting or surveying. And it's kind of like the overlay of the two that I think makes this dashboard pretty cool. Okay, so back to this form, a couple of options as far as creating your polygons. Number one, you're able to draw polygons in. So with that, you can draw as many polygons as you want, but I will say you cannot delete just one polygon. So if you're going to do it, if you're going to do it that way, I would say practice a couple before you commit to it. Or if you have like 27 polygons, I think it's probably better to import. So you can draw as many polygons as you would like to. And then whenever you're done with that, you're going to go ahead and just move on to the next page. I'm going to delete those for now because I'm going to show you another option rather than drawing those polygons is going to be to upload a shape file. And that's going to be a zipped shape file. Oops, sorry, that was a little bit chaotic. And basically with that, oh, wrong one. I'm just going to find a little example here. Let's do this one. The nice thing with this is it happens in real time. So you upload that zip shape file and then your polygons are there. Um, and then again, these are going to show up on the dashboard. People can see the project areas, and then it'll also have the associated project points with it. And then again, Truman, when we were doing the project stuff, saw that project code is just the digits at the end of that URL when you're looking at your project. So you go ahead and type, I think most of them are probably that 4-digit. So you'll type that in, and then as far as our project acres, you and I mean, a lot of times if you're a municipality or a county, you're going to be working on mostly county or municipality, but we've got that option to put in any private property, any federal property that you do, and just looking for your total acres in each of these categories. From here, you have that option or opportunity rather to add your species. So we've got them organized by weed list, and then it's just a drop down of all of these species. So any species that you targeted for your project, go ahead and adding them. And then in addition to having all of your species added, we're going to ask for that total of different treatment options. So we've got chemical, mechanical, and biocontrol acres. With biocontrol acres, I think when I did mine, John was saying like 1 acre per release, but I think it also depends on like when they were released and if you're seeing them over a larger area. As far as total acres surveyed, this one is going to pull from the total of these three, I believe. So that's going to be read only, and that'll auto-populate based on the chemical, mechanical, and biocontrol. One thing just to make sure that we are really encompassing everything that is surveyed, I would say if it is surveyed, I would put it in with that mechanical acres because we just want to make sure that we're not underreporting. So, if we look at mechanical and you're like, well, I only dug up 3 plants, but we walked 30 acres or whatever, I would put in 30 acres for my mechanical. Besides that, other grant related activities. So we've got space to add outreach events, number of participants. These are things that we've asked for on reporting in the past, as well as revegetation acres and a description of what was done. There is an opportunity to add a project narrative, so kind of describing the work that you did. If you got longer narrative or figures, photos, there's also an option to upload a PDF on the next step. So when we were going through the dashboard, all those records have photos associated with them, and you can add up to 5 photos. And then when you scroll down the project, those are just going to be there. Additionally, there is an option to link. So if you had more than 5 pictures that you wanted to show off or anything else really, you can link to a URL to a Google Drive or I don't know, another site. Um, got that option to upload a project report, which can either be an Excel sheet or Word document or a PDF. And then again, that option for a story map, should you choose to add one. This is going to be where we're going to add our matching funds. So again, for all of these different categories, you'll add the name. Um, so for this one, grantee match, like that will be you as the applicant and as the awardee. And then the dollar amount, cash contributed and in-kind work. Same thing with federal. So if you have federal funding, naming the agency, same thing across the board here, state, local, private, and other, but just kind of an opportunity here to show those different funding sources. And that amount will calculate itself. Another space for comments. And once you submit your project, I'm not going to submit this one because it is empty and and not a real project, but basically it'll give you a quick summary so you can look at the totals for your award, your match, your acres, make sure everything looks good, and then you'll submit the project, and then you will be emailed a code so that you can go back and revisit. Or maybe, once you see how it's displayed on the dashboard, you want to make some changes there. I think that is basically it.
Question, should we track staff time spent on EdMap's dashboard uploads as mapping or admin? So it doesn't really matter to us. I think I'm assuming you're talking about full-time staff. So if that's part of your admin expenses, that's totally fine. Or if you want to record those hours as match, then you can just even put full-time staff salary support time for the grant support in that match side of things. You don't really have to separate it out by like mapping, administration, but you certainly can if you want to. And then if it's seasonals that you have and that you're wanting to get reimbursed for their time, then just include that mapping time in those seasonal hours. And then should this dashboard be updated throughout the year, or is this something we can work on towards the end of the year? Yeah, you could actually you could start your project if you wanted to in the dashboard early, but you don't have to. It's going to probably make the most sense to fill out those final report like the tables and the form first, because the way that we've kind of worked on those will be you'll have those filled out and then you'll be able to just direct copy paste into the dashboard form so that it'll be, you're not like scrounging around for those numbers when you're trying to fill out the form. So you should probably start your EdMaps project early so that you can be contributing to that all throughout the season. But the dashboard is something that will very likely be something you'll want to do at the end of your project. Great. Yes, thank you all for attending, and we will be posting this online. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we're going to break it into those two kind of hour-long segments so that you can watch either the mapping portion or the kind of administrative overview of the grant stuff. So hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you or talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.